Hey there, welcome back. Today we are going on a little adventure together because I am taking you with me on a blind date. Yes, it's true, a blind date with a book. I am so excited to do this video because it kind of combines a bunch of my favorite kinds of videos, which include book ASMR and book sounds, as well as an unboxing, in this case an unwrapping of a surprise item. And I just think this is such a cool, cute concept that I had to bring you along and share this with you. So if you watched my ASMR in the library video, which I uploaded recently, you will have gotten a little preview of this. You can go back and check that out if you haven't seen it. At that trip to my library, my local, adorable, little tiny public library, they had this really fun display for February, for Valentine's Day, encouraging you to have a blind date with a book. So you can see it says here on the front of this unmarked brown paper wrapped book, blind date with a book. And we've got some lovely hearts all around the edge here and some heart decor, this lovely puffy heart sticker. And it says, you may like this book if you like, and then there was a square here for them to fill in the genre of the book. And this one, I actually have two. I have two surprise reveals for us today. This one is fantasy romance. So the idea is that you choose a book at random based on the genre, and they had the book number from their database written on the outside here, so the librarian had to type it in. They couldn't scan it for this particular book, so that it really was a secret. You couldn't see anything about what book it is. I guess I could go into my library account and look at what books I have checked out, and it would show that I have these books checked out, but I haven't done that. I could do that, but that would ruin the fun. So the idea is that you take home this secret book and open it and read it and see if you like it. And then they had a little jar there where you could come back and write a review for your surprise book on a little card and put it in the jar. And then they were going to do a raffle drawing to encourage people to participate. So I just thought this was such an adorable idea and very perfect for ASMR. Immediately I was like, ooh, I have to do a video with one of these books, and since Justin was with me, he checked out one too, so that I could have two to reveal to you. And most of them were in the romance genre, since this was a Valentine's Day kind of activity at the library. Not all of them, and a lot of them were horror romance, and I am not not. A lot of people are, and that is fantastic if that's what you like. So I decided to choose this one, which was fantasy romance, because I thought maybe there would be, a cool world in it, some kind of setting, some sort of interesting place or time that it would take place in. I'm going to really relish these paper-wrapped book sounds because I think they're really lovely. Paper-wrapped book spine tapping. And I don't really read romance novels very often. And it's not that I don't, think there's a lot of potential in that genre. It's just that I often get really frustrated with characters in romance novels. Because I feel like a big crux of romance novels and like romantic comedy type books and movies is always that there are misunderstandings and the people are never honest with each other about their feelings, and there's always a lot of back and forth and near misses and people almost revealing things and almost telling the truth and almost saying what they really think and feel, but then they don't. And I kind of lose patience with it. I really do. I'm such a direct and honest person in my life that I have a hard time enjoying that kind of narrative. I'm always just like, why don't you just tell them? Like, come on, this is silly. Why don't you just tell them about this thing in your past? Or why don't you just tell them about this misunderstanding or this mistake you made? Like, if they don't like you, then it's better to know that now. This is the same reason I honestly had a hard time enjoying family sitcoms when I was a kid. Because there would always be some misunderstanding, and I would be like, or there would be something that the kid did that they were afraid, to tell their parents or tell their friend or whatever, and I would be like, just tell them, it's going to come out by the end of the episode anyway, so why do we all have to struggle through this? So, I guess to some people, that is entertainment. That is the entertaining part of the story, is that back and forth and that tension of those sorts of storylines. But I'm always like, oh, come on. Get on with it. In romance novels, it's always one of the people in the romantic relationship is always like, oh, and like sulking around about some element of the situation, and I'm always like, well, just be brave and tell them how you feel and rip the band-aid off and let's get this moving. So if I ever tried to write a romance novel or story, it would probably be very short and not very interesting to people. Because it would all be about people being honest and vulnerable and transparent about their feelings, and that probably doesn't make for a good Fabio emblazoned romance novel. Is Fabio still on romance novels? Probably not. There's probably some new Fabio that I don't know about. You probably don't even know who Fabio is. You'll have to look him up. At some point in history, women thought he was really, really attractive, which was always puzzling to me. But anyway. So, this one, like I said, is fantasy romance. We also picked up a second one. This was one of the few that didn't have a romance bend to the genre. This one is simply science fiction, which is a genre Justin and I both enjoy. So we thought maybe we'd get lucky with this one, and maybe it would be something good that one of us would like to read. And sometimes science fiction can veer on that side of being like too weird and too messed up, and it's hard for me to enjoy depending on the subject matter, so we will have to see. So I really have no idea about either of these books, whether this could be a classic science fiction novel, this could be a brand new novel. I really don't know. And with the fantasy romance, it really could be anything. Who knows? There could be fantastical creatures. Could be some sort of magic involved. Who knows? So would you like to find out? Would you like to go with me on a blind date with these books? I just think it's such a fun concept. It really delighted me. And I did think it was neat because I'm sure these will probably be books that I would have never chosen or checked out on my own. And so it will be a neat surprise. And I'm not going to obligate myself to fully read these books if I start them and they just don't do it for me, or if there's something about the plot that doesn't seem like it would be my style or would be pleasant for me to read, then I will be okay with putting them aside. That sometimes happens on a blind date. They don't always work out. But we shall see. So I think I will do the romance one first, since this is sort of, the whole idea of a date. So the person at the library did a really good job of wrapping these in brown paper, and I'm going to do my best to open these neatly so that I can return them to the library in case they want to reuse their nice book plate here. I'm sure I will finish whatever book this is well before the end of February, so if they want to put this one back out again, they can do so. Just a little more suspense here with the packaging. I want you to really get the full effect here. And you know what? I did not bring a tool with me or any scissors. I was hoping that I could just kind of peel away the tape on these. And it might be a bit loud. I always get nervous with unwrapping things. But let's see, we'll give it a go. So my plan is to unwrap this. We'll look at the cover together, and I will read whatever blurb it might have on the back or the inside flap. And we'll see what we think, and you can let me know what you think. And then I'll do a little follow-up at some point in a future ramble video or something and let you know what I thought of these books. But this is really just the reveal stage today. This is so much fun. I just love sharing simple delights with you. And I get a lot of simple delight out of the library, which is why I like to go there. So, okay, let's see how we shall go about this. If I can do some gentle tape peeling. I might get thwarted right away and have to go get a tool. But let's see. Well, if I want to keep it neat, some of the tape was actually starting to peel off of one of them, and I had to kind of put it back. Okay, here we go. Ooh, some nice tape peeling if you like that sort of thing. Okay, one side peeled, one side peeled. Okay, I'm going to see if I can peel away this tape with my tiny, not very long fingernail. Oh, I almost had it. It's very suspenseful, isn't it? Very suspenseful. Can I get this one? Let's see. A little double piece here. So much suspense, I can't take it. But I don't want to reveal things too soon. Okay, so here we have our fantasy romance book. Do you have any guesses about any genre, any subjects? Will this take place on Earth? Will this take place in some other realm? Who knows? Who knows? Okay, so I'm going to open this up. Are you ready? Ooh. Okay. Whoa. This sounds pretty intense. It says, no god, no creature, no war can come between them. This book is called Divine Rivals. Divine Rivals. Divine Rivals. By Rebecca Ross. Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. Have you ever heard of this book or of Rebecca Ross? Be sure to let me know. Okay. I won't read all the reviews on the back of this, but it says, rich and romantic. If stories had scent, this one would smell like a mug of black tea, the ink ribbons of a typewriter, and that addictive spice called enemies to lovers. Interesting. Oh, this is a sweeping start to a beautiful and romantic new series. Ross weaves her stories in such a vulnerable and delicate way, truly with a style all her own. Okay. All right. Deeply romantic. Maybe I will read most of them. Deeply romantic and beautifully written, Divine Rivals is a story that lingers long after the final page. Set in a world steeped in mythology, Iris's journey to the front is both fascinating and moving, with an ending that will leave readers aching for the next book. Interesting. Ross enchants with a clever and sweeping love story set against an imaginative, dangerous world. Her writing sparkles, brimming with wit and magic from the first page to the last. Okay, well, from the front we've just got some sort of flowers here. Nothing to give us too much of an indication about the subject matter. So let's read the little inside jacket here. When two young rival journalists find love through a magical connection, they must face the depths of hell in a war between gods to seal their fate forever. My goodness, this sounds pretty intense. After centuries of sleep, the gods are warring again. But 18-year-old Iris Winnow just wants to hold her family together. Her mother is suffering from addiction, and her brother is missing from the front lines. Her best bet is to win the columnist promotion at the Oath Gazette. To combat her worries, Iris writes letters to her brother and slips them beneath her wardrobe door, where they vanish, into the hands of Roman Kit, her cold and handsome rival at the paper. When he anonymously writes Iris back, the two of them forge a connection that will follow Iris all the way to the front lines of battle, for her brother, the fate of mankind, and love. Divine Rivals is an epic enemies to lovers fantasy, oh brother. Divine Rivals, I'm sorry I'm laughing, but that's just such a trope. Divine Rivals is an epic enemies to fantasies intimate. I'm going to try this again. I'm not even putting this in a bloopers video. Divine Rivals is an epic enemies to lovers fantasy novel filled with hope and heartbreak and the unparalleled power of love. Well, I have to be honest. This sounds like it might not really be my cup of tea. I mean, you know, war novels are always a little hard to handle. There's enough of that in the actual world these days. And I don't know, the whole enemies to lovers thing. I mean, I know it's been used a million times. I mean, even in things as, you know, sort of gentle and sweet as You've Got Mail with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. You know, the whole enemies falling in love thing. So I do not know. And especially if this is the beginning of a series, I can't imagine that I would want to get too deep into this, but you never know. I will give it a try. I will read the first couple of chapters and see what I think, and who knows, maybe it will be enthralling. I do like stories about writing. I do like stories about writers and journalists and that sort of thing. It's not really clear to me if this is taking place sort of in like a contemporary time with a twist, or if this is in some other time. We'll have to get more into that. But at any rate, I do like the cover. I like these letters on the cover, Divine Rivals. And it did make me smile. What is the fellow's name in here? Roman Kit. I mean, come on. I mean, I know it's a romance novel, but Roman Kit, her cold and handsome rival. They always have to be cold, don't they? At least in the beginning. See, I didn't think this was going to become me giving a little bit of a satire on romance novels, but that is kind of how I feel about them. Okay, well, here's blind date number 1. This is Bookalorette number 1. Bookaler? I'm trying to take the word bachelor and or bachelorette and make it into a book word. I'll go with Bookaler. Bookaler number 1 is Divine Rivals, and I only have 2, so it's not a true full book dating game here, but now I'm just getting silly. This video is getting quite silly. Okay, so I'm going to put aside Divine Rivals. I would say if I was going to give this like 1 to 5 stars as a pre-rating based on how interested I am in it and how good it sounds to me, I think I would only give this 1 a 2. I was kind of hoping for, since it was fantasy, I was kind of hoping for a more fantastical setting, you know, something a little more, something maybe, you know, on another planet or in some kind of fantasy world or something like that. But maybe we'll get to something like that in our science fiction book. So we still have Bookaler number 2 over here. I mean, and this is just really fun because it's definitely not a book I would have picked up. And it is just always fun to see what is out there. Okay, so now we have the second one. So you get another round of tape peeling here. One little piece of tape. Oh, this one's a little easier, I think. 2 pieces of tape. This book is a bit smaller in size, so maybe they didn't need quite as much tape to hold it together. Okay, once again, I will open it. This one's a little more folded up since it's not as big of a book. Let's see what we've got. Alright, are you ready? Ooh. Sea of Tranquility. Sea of Tranquility. A novel by Emily St. John Mandel, best-selling author of The Glass Hotel and Station 11. Never heard of either of those books. I'm not a huge contemporary science fiction fan. Most of the science fiction I've read is kind of old. But I like this cover. We've got sort of a green field here with a moon coming up in the background. Okay, well, the reviews on the back of this one are for her previous book, The Glass Hotel. So I will read a couple of those. It says, Mandel's gift is to weave realism out of extremity. She plants her flag where the ordinary and the astonishing meet, where everyday people pause to wonder how exactly it came to this. She is our bard of waking up in the wrong timeline. Oh, cool. I do love any kind of like time travel, mixed up timelines kind of thing. A striking book that's every bit as powerful and timely as its predecessor, which was, I guess, Station 11. The Glass Hotel is a masterpiece. Okay, well, The Glass Hotel is not the book I have here in front of me. The book I have in front of me is Sea of Tranquility. So let's see. This is very, very mysterious. Let's see. Okay. The award-winning best-selling author of Station 11 and The Glass Hotel returns with a novel of art, time, love, and plague that takes the reader from Vancouver Island in 1912 to a dark colony on the moon nearly 500 years later, unfurling a story of humanity across centuries and space. Okay, that sounds promising. Let's read on to the rest of this blurb here. Edwin St. Andrew is 18 years old when he crosses the Atlantic by steamship, exiled from polite English society following an ill-conceived diatribe at a dinner party. He enters the forest, spellbound by the beauty of the Canadian wilderness, and suddenly hears the notes of a violin echoing in an airship terminal, an experience that shocks him to his core. 2 centuries later, a famous writer named Olive Llewellyn is on a book tour. She's traveled all over Earth, but her home is the second moon colony, a place of white stone, spired towers, and artificial beauty. Within the text of Olive's best-selling pandemic novel lies a strange passage. A man plays his violin for spare change in the echoing corridor of an airship terminal as the trees of a forest rise around him. When Gaspery Roberts, a hotel detective in a black-skied night city, is hired to investigate an anomaly in the North American wilderness, he uncovers a series of lives upended. The exiled son of an earl driven to madness, a writer trapped far from home as a pandemic ravages Earth, and a childhood friend from the night city who, like Gaspery himself, has glimpsed the chance to do something extraordinary that will disrupt the timeline of the universe. A virtuoso performance that is as human and tender as it is intellectually playful, Sea of Tranquility is a novel of time travel and metaphysics that precisely captures the reality of our current moment. Whoa, that's a lot. That sounds like an incredibly complicated plot. Not to say that it couldn't be good. We've got a moon colony here. That's a good thing. That's interesting. I'll have to give it a try. I will have to read the first chapter at least and see if it strikes me. This one doesn't make me get super excited either. Sounds okay, but I don't know, and it's hard to trust the little jacket flap things. Like, sometimes after I've read a book and then I go back and I read the little jacket flap thing, I'm like, yeah, that doesn't really represent the plot very well. Or, sometimes there are sort of things I think that they put in those descriptions to try to sound more dramatic or, kind of clickbaity for a book plot. Well, the main purpose for me in doing this with you was to get some good book sounds and to get the excitement of an unwrapping unboxing. So I think we have accomplished that. So, I don't know. I think this one probably only gets a 2 as well. I'm not super excited about it. Maybe a 3 because of the time travel, and I do like that kind of stuff. But again, this isn't one that I probably would have picked off the shelf. So this is probably a typical blind date experience. I'm not sure. I'm a little lukewarm. Nothing terrible has happened, but I haven't been swept off my feet by any means. So we have our 2 books here, Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel, and then Divine Arrivals by Rebecca Ross. So if you do happen to know of either of these books or authors, please do let me know. If you have any particular fantasy or sci-fi novels or romance novels that you would recommend to me, I would always love to hear your book recommendations. This book has a wonderful sound, that good old plastic library book. Cover sound. And I do like the cover of this. It's quite pretty. So we'll see. And this does inspire me to continue to do some more book-themed content for you. I got some really nice comments on the library video and people saying they'd like to see more library books and more library content. So I was excited to do this for you. And maybe next time I will review for you some library books that I know that I enjoyed, or I'll do a haul of the next group of things that I check out, things that I truly feel excited about reading from my own choices. But this was fun to just be handed something completely random and see what I think of it. So, thank you for hanging out with me, for coming along with me on this blind date, for being the Fozzie to my Kermit the Frog. I brought you with me to go on my date with Lady Holiday. There's a great Muppet Caper reference for you, for those who know. And thanks for being here with me. I hope you're having a cozy February and maybe reading some good books. And I'm sending you lots of love and good wishes. So take care of yourself. I love the book spine tapping. Rest well, and I'll see you again soon. Happy reading.